We're about to deconstruct an ancient story. But this is way more than just a history lesson. It's actually a detailed blueprint for societal collapse, a really strategic plan for chaos. But, and this is the important part, it also holds the key to reversing that chaos. And that's a lesson that is surprisingly, maybe even urgently, relevant to our lives right now. This quote from our source material really gets right to the heart of the matter. You see, the motivation isn't just random destruction. It's a whole world view that's trying to find happiness by attacking the very source of cosmic order, all for the sake of, well, personal gratification. The stakes, as you can see, are just incredibly high. So this leads us to the big question. What exactly is this ancient blueprint? What were its targets? What was the strategy? And really, why should any of it matter to us today? Let's break it all down. Okay, so our story starts with a demon king named Hiranyakashipu. Now, he didn't just unleash a bunch of random mayhem. No, he gave his followers a very specific set of orders, a detailed strategy that was designed to dismantle an entire way of life, right from the ground up. The demon's plan was so methodical. It was an intelligent, targeted assault on the very infrastructure that supported a godly, prosperous society. Every single action had a really precise purpose. And the list of targets, wow, it was comprehensive. They went after government centers, food production, natural resources, the economic infrastructure, and, this is key, the spiritual centers, the hermitages of saintly people. Society was basically attacked at every single level. And that just raises a critical question, right? I mean, burning cities. You can kind of understand the destructive logic there. But why specifically target farms and forests and hermitages? What was the deeper strategy? This wasn't just about causing fear. It was about severing a really vital connection. So to understand the goal, we really need to get this key concept, yajna. In the Vedic worldview, these ritual ceremonies are what actually nourish the demigods. You can think of them as universal administrators. And they, in turn, maintain cosmic balance and provide for all of us. It's a completely symbiotic cosmic system. The demon's blueprint, then, was kind of brilliant in its wickedness. Hiranyakashipu realized he didn't have to fight the demigods directly. Not at all. All he had to do was stop the yajnas. By destroying the farms, the hermitages, and the peaceful culture that supported these sacrifices, he could effectively starve the demigods, causing the entire system to just collapse from within. Think of it like this. Civilization is a great tree. The demigods are the branches, society is the trunk, but the root, the source of all the nourishment, is that connection to the supreme through sacrifice. Hiranyakashipu's plan was terrifyingly simple. Just cut the root.
So that's the ancient plan. But this huge cosmic story is also a mirror for a much more personal, modern, and internal struggle, one that really affects every single one of us.
I know what you might be thinking. This is a fascinating old story, but what does a demon king really have to do with my modern life? Well, the source material argues that this external battle is a perfect metaphor for an internal one. The analogy they use is that of two dogs fighting inside of us. The good dog, that represents our devotional nature, our higher self. And the bad dog, well, that represents the demonic nature, the very same impulse that motivated Hiranyakashipu. And the one that wins? It's the one we choose to feed. So, what does feeding the bad dog actually look like in practice? Well, it shows up as false ego, a constant need to criticize and find faults in other people, all while conveniently ignoring our own. This mindset, according to the source, ultimately leads to delusion and the same kind of destructive actions we saw in the demon's blueprint, just on a much more personal scale.
Okay, so understanding the problem, both the external and the internal one, is the first step. The next part is the solution. The source outlines a really clear three-part counter-strategy, and it's not just for defense, but for proactively reversing the damage.
The plan is a direct reversal of the demon's strategy. First, reestablish that spiritual root that was attacked. Second, protect the physical foundation of life, the very things the demons destroyed. And third, actively cultivate a culture of devotion to counteract the culture of sense gratification. What's really fascinating here is just how practical the reversal is. The demons burn hermitages to stop these complex rituals. The counteraction isn't to rebuild, but to embrace the simplest sacrifice for our current age, Sankirtana yajna, which is simply chanting the holy names. And to counter the attack on spiritual teachers, the focus just shifts to prioritizing our own self-realization through study. And this builds right into the physical realm. The demons destroyed the natural world. The reversal is to protect it. The source specifically highlights cow protection as essential for a peaceful land-based civilization. Instead of just mindlessly destroying resources, the reversal involves conscious management, seeing nature as a gift to be used in service. And finally, to counter the decay of society itself, the reversal gets intensely personal. Instead of the chaos of a society based on just sense gratification, we create order by serving with attention to detail. And we directly combat that demonic tendency of fault-finding by choosing to focus on appreciating the good qualities in others. So if we just boil it all down, the demon's blueprint is this: create immense complexity and destruction. Burn down a simple, life-giving forest just to build a factory for some perishable gadget. It's all about destroying the eternal for the temporary. But the reversal? It's such a beautiful contrast. The entire complex, destructive machine of the demons is made powerless by the simplest acts. The source emphasizes that the Supreme Lord isn't impressed by elaborate, costly rituals. He's impressed by the simple offering of a leaf or a flower when it's done with genuine devotion. Simplicity becomes the ultimate strength. And all this brings us to the most important question. Why does any of this matter to you and me? What are the real stakes of this internal battle? Well, according to the source, the stakes couldn't be higher. Following the demon's path, feeding that bad dog, it just traps us in a cycle of anxiety and suffering. Reversing the blueprint isn't just about piety. It's about achieving our own true self-interest, finding genuine peace, and, contributing to a more harmonious world. And that brings this entire explanation right back to you. That ancient battle between the demons and the demigods, it's playing out inside your own consciousness every single day. The source makes it clear that we have free will. So the ultimate question it leaves us with is a personal one. Which dog, which tendency will you choose to feed today? Let's just end on this powerful and really empowering note. Don't be discouraged if the path seems difficult. The demonic blueprint is complex, it's intimidating, but the path of reversal, the path of devotion, is profoundly simple. As the source reminds us, no material circumstance can ever interfere, because all it really requires is your intention.